Welcome back to Open House with Mark Siwiec and Corey James Moran, brought to you by Elysian Homes by Mark Siwiec and Associates, a greater Rochester real estate podcast. This is episode 166. Mark, how are you? Halloween was good?
Halloween was great.
You got to give candy to kids this year.
I had such a great time. It is one of my favorite things to do in the entire world, and I haven't done it in years because nobody came to the house at Westminster, and the house, the street we live on now, it only has like eight houses on it. So I sat 45 minutes outside of Gretchen and Mick's house last night just giving out candy, and I loved it.
It is fun.
It was just so much. And you had a great time?
Yeah, I went over to my brother and sister-in-laws, brought the boys, brought the Power Wheel.
Oh, there you go. The Power Wheel is very popular in your family these days.
It was pulled out prior to when it should have been out, and nearly crushed my son, but he's totally fine, so don't worry about it.
Oh, good. Good parenting on your part.
Yeah, crushed
Courtney's?
it. Absolutely crushed it.
Yeah.
Power Wheel though, totally fine. They were able to scurry through the neighborhood. Brought a lot of attention. People were very impressed with specifically Mason, who was the driver, my older son, his braking ability, because he would go towards a crowd and then just slam on the brakes.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Very safe.
Again, extremely safe.
You can't wait until he's 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might be in the Daytona 500.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
But it was fun. Got a lot of candy.
I met a 3-year-old astronaut last night.
It's impressive.
And she made her own costume.
That is very sweet. That is very sweet.
So sweet. Oh my God.
But now it's full steam ahead, at least in my house, apparently for Christmas. My wife's putting the full court press.
Oh no.
I know, we're not usually those people, but for whatever reason, she said this year she wants to celebrate Christmas for 2 months. So it's the maternity leave that she's on right now. She has the time to do it.
Mariah Carey already? Seriously? Has she gone down that road?
I've already pushed back on getting the tree. So I'm doing my battle, but you know.
Okay, you pushed back on the tree. What about Mariah?
No Christmas music yet that I have heard,
Okay,
but
okay.
it's being threatened.
Okay.
So we will see.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so as terrifying as yesterday was, given that yesterday was Halloween.
Yeah.
Dear Lord and God. Dear Lord and God, dear Lord,
next
my
week?
God, dear Lord, everything. The
Yeah.
world is on fire. You can feel the tension in the air.
Yeah.
Whether it's the world of politics or the world of finance. There's some crazy stuff going on out there.
Yeah, we've got a lot to get to. A lot of economic data dropped
Yes.
in the last couple of days. We'll get to that. What is going on with mortgage interest rates? They continue to rise. At least for now. Maybe some of that data will hopefully cool off that rise.
Not as of half an hour ago.
We're
the 10-year
updated again.
Treasury was up.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah.
And then we'll close out the podcast here after our listener question with some celebrity real estate, including a celebrity who purchased a compound for their 12 children and the moms of said 12 children. You'll never guess who it is.
It couldn't possibly be Elon Musk because he's not.
You'll never guess who it is, I said. Let's jump into the market update. You ready?
I can't wait. Can we just fast forward? No, okay.
That's an effective tease right there.
Oh,
I've got you
You
roped
got me
in.
salivating. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
All right, market update. Nothing shocking here. Number continues to go down for new single-family active listings. We're at 480 for Monroe County, down from 495. 6-county region, 884 last week, down to 847. That number is going to continue to dwindle. I would argue it's a little surprising it's still as high as it is, to be honest.
It is, but
Again,
how much
property
is lingering?
sitting.
Yes,
Sure.
yeah. That's just stuff that's been sitting around lingering for a while.
Under contract and pending properties, Monroe County, that's took a bit of a dip as well. 150 or 1150 versus 1156 last week. And then for the 6-county region, down slightly, 1739, down from 1753.
I'm just looking at.
Shrug.
Yeah.
Oh, what are you looking at now? Oh no, did it go up again?
We'll get to it. You just keep talking.
You can give me the mortgage interest rates. I mean, that's next.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do you want to share the bad news? Last week, the 30-year was at 6.91%, which was a pretty big jump from the previous week. I had mine when I did prep for the podcast here at 7.09. Where are we at right now?
You know what? I was not reacting to that. We're still at 7.09.
Okay, for now.
We'll check throughout the podcast.
An update's coming, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. No, I was reacting to the yield on the 10-year Treasury.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So, which is, a harbinger of what is to come in the next few moments with
Are we going to get to 8?
mortgage. Yeah, I mean, at the rate that things are going, yes, indeed. I think we are, yeah.
All right, well, at least numbers where they stand right now. As I mentioned, the 30 year is at 7.09. The 15 year is at 6.48. That is up from 6.38%. I'm wondering and I'm hoping that a lot of this is just pre-election chaos.
Jitters.
Right?
Yeah.
And that once we get past it and maybe a little time past that, things can settle down a bit.
Well, in large part, I really do think that it depends on who is elected president this coming Tuesday. By the way, did I mention that I'm out of town next week?
Did you mention that you don't have a return flight?
That is true.
Interesting.
I really, it's not a political statement. It's not fear. I just haven't gotten around to I really have not gotten
convenient timing, Mark. Super convenient.
I have not gotten around to booking my return flight from Mexico. I will. I'll get around to it. So
maybe.
But if Donald Trump is elected, as we stated last week, a lot of the rise that's gone on over the course of the past 30 days is due to the fact that Wall Street and bond market traders in particular are increasingly thinking that Donald Trump will be elected president. If he's elected president, then there's concern that his tariffs are going to be enacted, and that is considered and construed to be inflationary. Mm-hmm. Whether or not he actually gets around to enacting that, whether or not all the talk of tariffs is reality, or whether they're just talking points because it sounds good.
Whoa!
I know, crazy.
Hang on.
Yeah.
You're telling me when a politician is on the campaign and talking about the policies they want to enact, those don't always go into effect?
I know, shocking. Yeah. So, and then if Kamala Harris is elected, at least from my perspective, there's a better chance that rates will really start to fall. But I mean, can we talk about the 10-year Treasury right now?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, where are we at?
So this is crazy. The 10-year Treasury at the moment has risen above 4.3%. It is up 69 bips. So it has gone up significantly. And what it says here is on CNBC, 10-year Treasury yield rises above 4.3% as traders ignore noisy jobs report.
Yeah.
So why don't you go ahead?
I mean, this is a jobs report we would have been begging for any other time the last 4 years.
Yes.
So non-farm payroll increased by 12,000 for the month of October. And that is down sharply from September, where we obviously saw that large jump. It was the original report was in 285 or something crazy like that. That's been revised as well, down to 112,000 for August and September combined.
Yeah. So this is good news.
You would think.
And I'll focus. So Wall Street and economists and bond traders and bankers have turned their focus of late from inflation. People have come to realize because of the PCE, the personal consumption.
We'll get to that in a sec, yeah.
Yeah, came in. Sorry, do you mind if I just?
No,
PCE came in at 2.1% yesterday. Really, really, really close. Just a smidge above the Fed's target rate of 2%.
Right.
And so all these individuals that I mentioned just a moment ago, they are increasingly confident that we have conquered inflation. So now, in order to prevent inflation from taking hold once again, it's important that that payroll and that employment numbers, or unemployment actually, begins to rise a little bit above 4.1%.
Yeah, which is what it is right now.
Yeah, exactly. So you would think that these numbers that are coming out, the revisions for August, the revisions for September, and the 12,000 jobs created in the month of October, you would think that would be heralded by Wall Street as good news, and you would think that the yield on the 10-year Treasury would be dropping. No, that's not the case. It is just...
They keep changing the rules of the game. This is not a fun game to play.
That is really a great way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, every time we think we understand or have our arms wrapped around what is going on, there is some underlying pressure that is causing Wall Street and the bond market in particular to behave differently.
It's almost like there's people out there that want rates to be high because they make money off of interest.
Yeah, really.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
One thing that's important to note on this jobs report.
Good. Yeah, okay, I was going to go into this.
The Boeing strike.
Yeah, okay, yes.
So that subtracted about 44,000 jobs in the manufacturing sector.
Yep.
And then we're also factoring in the hurricanes that hit Florida. That's going to alter things a little bit. But still, 12,000.
Yeah, and so back to the Boeing strike and back to both hurricanes. That explains the drop or the 12,000 jobs. The only 12,000 jobs created in the month of October.
I mean, kind of explains it, but not fully. I mean, we've had job reports that were 300 plus thousand, and now it's 12,000.
Right.
It's a crazy amount in between what it can be.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is it doesn't. The hurricanes and the Boeing strike, no impact whatsoever on what was going on in August and September.
Right.
So again, you would think that Wall Street would be heralding this, but there is so much concern and so much uncertainty about what is going to play out on Tuesday. And the concern. I mean, and as I said, we started out by saying you can just feel the tension in the air. Everyone. Well, I will admit now, shocking to you, you've known me for a while now. I filled out my ballot the other day. Like, it was emotional for me.
Yeah.
Like you just fill out the ballot. You put it in. You walk away. Okay, I've done my civic duty. This is one where I actually. It was akin to when it was that we were all questioning whether or not the world was coming to an end as a result of COVID. Mm-hmm. And we were all so fearful. And then miraculously, a year after the first deaths started to reverberate through the U.S. and throughout the world, we found the miracle vaccine that suddenly was going to save lives. And I remember very vividly going to the downtown convention center and being inoculated, vaccinated. And that was an emotional moment, like, wow, like humanity is going to be saved. And I had a similar reaction.
Interesting. Yeah.
A couple of days ago, because for me, like, and everybody keeps using the word existential, and I realize that it's been a little overused over the course of the past few days, few weeks. But I really, genuinely, honestly believe that this is an existential moment in the history of the United States, and I don't think I'm the only one. I mean, there are lots of common men and women who are feeling the same, and clearly and obviously, you've got traders in Wall Street who are harboring similar concerns.
Well, there's never been a time in recent history, I would argue, where we've been so at odds with each other.
Yes, exactly.
And getting past this, whatever way it shakes out,
yes,
will hopefully lead to a little bit of healing afterwards. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
or
well,
not.
Hold your breath there, my friend.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I might wait a few months after the election just in case. See how things play out.
Yeah. So we don't know where this is headed. I mean, ultimately, I think that interest rates are going to drop because ultimately, I do think that we've vanquished inflation, and I do think that if you set aside the jobs report for the month of October and you focus solely on August and September, those are really, really great numbers.
Sure, yeah.
I think there's just a lot of noise out there right now that we need to get on the other side of the election, have some sense of where the country is headed.
Some clarity, sure.
Some clarity, and then I think we'll be back. So this is all really interesting because everything that we're talking about really comes into focus next Wednesday when it is that the FOMC meets. Was that something you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, because then we find out, will they cut rates again? Will they stay just where they are?
Yes.
What's the latest on that? I know the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
I haven't looked. But it will be. I mean, what's your sense? What do you think? And the FOMC, for those who aren't familiar, the Federal Open Markets Committee. The Federal Open Markets Committee is the committee that it's a subset of the Federal Reserve itself, and this is the committee that convenes to determine the rate of the federal funds rate. So go ahead.
My gut on it is that they're going to hold steady, and I think a lot of it has to do with how much uncertainty we're experiencing now. It's not going to just dissipate after Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I think they've been very cautious throughout the past several years here in terms of what they've been doing with these rates. So I would be surprised to see them. It would seem a little knee-jerk, especially after how the reaction was to the half point cut that we had earlier this year.
Yep.
It would be a little knee-jerk, in my opinion, for them to cut. And then, they also have the opportunity in December. So it's not like we have to wait several months before they can do it again.
Right, exactly where I am. I think that nothing happens next week. The current rates remain in place, and then if need be, they can go ahead and they can cut then in December, and they can cut. I'm not quite sure when the FOMC meets next, but they can then have a series of rapid fire reductions if need be. But I think that we just keep kicking the can down the road because you keep hearing we need more data, we need more data,
Right.
we need more data.
Been a lot of data.
We get all sorts of data now, but the election and the next president of the United States or whomever it is that's elected next week is going to really determine where it is that we're headed economically and otherwise.
Let's talk about something more uplifting. Home
There-
sales.
there is something uplifting.
No, I'm just kidding. It's also terrible. Home sales on track for the worst year since 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah, existing home sales dropped 1% in September, hitting the lowest level since 2010, with an annual rate of 3.84 million, down 3.5% from a year ago, which was also terrible. Lowest point in the last 30 years. Median home price, that rose 3% year over year. We're now at $404,500, marking 15 straight months of price increases. Although this is interesting, inventory, and we've talked a bit about it, certainly not here in Rochester, but nationally, inventory has increased a tad. We're up 1.5% to 1.39 million on unsold homes, including single-family homes, townhouses, and condos. Yay! Are we at the bottom? Is this the bottom?
I do think we are.
Is this your optimism, or is this?
No. I honestly believe that we're at the bottom.
Okay.
I do. I do think that interest rates will come down. I do think that Rochester. I do think the report stated that Rochester is going to be the number 2 municipality in the country in terms of the influx of new listings. I do think that is. But all right. Let me be selfish. Let me just for a moment say that I am dead nuts wrong in terms of my prognostications for the year 2025 as it relates to the industry in general. I'm optimistic also just because I know that we're going to crush it. We're bringing new agents onto the team. We've secured a few new sources of referrals, which is going to impact us. We get new staff members. We're gonna do just fine.
Sure. Yeah.
And there are gonna be fewer agents out there because more and more agents are just throwing their hands up in the air like,
sure.
This is like roller derby.
Yeah, it is. I did have a listing appointment yesterday, though. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
It is someone who doesn't necessarily need to sell at this moment, but is leaning heavily towards doing so. And they mentioned in our conversations how their rate is currently 2.9%.
Oh, well, yes.
But
yeah,
even
so
with that rate,
yes.
they're still more towards the fence of it's going to be time to sell, if not now, very, very soon.
I think this is an appointment that you had with somebody who listens to the podcast. Is that right?
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate fan, or a podcast fan.
Absolutely. Very, very, very true.
Why wasn't I called?
What's that? Oh, I know.
I didn't get called for that.
I'm more handsome.
Well, yeah, obviously. But God. It's like Alex, who all these clips about Alex, our editor over here, all these clips that end up on LinkedIn and other platforms. It's never a clip of me.
Well, listen,
it's only ever you. Oh, here's a clip of Corey. Oh,
listen, for the amount of face for radio jokes I had to endure for 20 years in my old career, I could get the spotlight a little bit. It's okay. You can share. You can share.
All right.
You've got plenty of videos out. The Wickham Farms video's out.
Wickham Farms video is out.
There you go.
And I'm kidding. You know that I'm only thrilled by that. But that is good. That it's sometimes it's just you just need, or sometimes you experience just that one data point, which then becomes a second data point.
Sure. Yeah.
And then a third, and so that which is just an anomaly becomes perhaps a trend, a micro trend, which then becomes a tidal wave.
Well, listen, if we're just thinking logically, you can't sit on the rate forever. It's if you need to buy something, if you need to downsize, sooner or later you're going to have to unfortunately swallow that pill.
Yep.
And do what you have to do.
Yep.
So
babies are born, children graduate, spouses sadly pass away, divorces, all of that.
Life goes on. Yeah.
Yeah, life itself. Yeah, life will impact. But as a team, glad to report that we concluded October down just a little more than 1.5%.
It's crazy.
In a market in which, I don't know what the local statistics are at the moment, but in a market in which our colleagues just day in and day out just are constantly screaming about how difficult it is out there, for us to conclude the year down just about 1.5%, that's pretty phenomenal.
Impressive stuff, for sure.
Really, really grateful, yeah.
All right, listener question. Ready?
Okay, yeah.
This is Alex from Greece.
Hello, Alex.
Alex wants to know, what's the best strategy for selling a home during the winter months when there's less buyer trapfic?
Do you want to take a stab at it?
The answer can't be don't. Because, I mean, in all honesty, some people do need to sell in the winter. Again, I don't think we ever advise it.
Right.
But I think the strategy changes quite a bit. I think the pricing and the listing needs to be far more transparent.
Yes.
I think the strategy of listing low, expecting to get the multiple offers, is probably not how that's going to play out.
Yep.
So you want to list more appropriately towards what you want to receive.
Right.
And if you don't get that number, well, that's the market speaking to you.
Yeah. And you also want to make sure that you're pricing appropriately, because the number of days on market during this time of year tend to increase.
Sure.
And so you want to make sure of the passing of time as people are looking at the consecutive days on market. And if you're priced too high, the consecutive days on market will just continue to tick forward, click, click, click. You suddenly find yourself on the market for sale for 2.5 months, 3 months. You're selling your property far below where you would have if you had just been more realistic to begin with. But again, I think it's important also to define what constitutes the winter months here in Rochester.
Sure,
Do you want to take a stab on that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, usually by mid-November, we're pretty dead. And then, I don't know, last year, January was... The stuff that was getting listed in January was going crazy. There wasn't a lot of it, but the buyers were there.
Yep.
And based on the year that we've had, again, this year, I would be surprised if it didn't start playing out that way once again.
Yeah. I mean, there have been... Buyers have been so quiet over the course of the past few months. I think I mentioned last week that August, September, October of last year, I had 21 listing appointments. August, September, October of this year, 47 listing appointments. And a lot of those people are going to be listing in
next year.
January. January, February. So historically, the spring market always began in Rochester at the beginning of March. Because of technology and warmer winters, it's the third week of January or thereabouts. So really, the winter here in Rochester, as it relates to real estate,
it's the holidays.
It's 2 months. Yeah. It's the middle of November through the middle of January. So my advice to Alex in Greece, if you have to sell, go ahead and put your house on the market for sale and sell it. Just be careful about making sure it's perfectly ready and making sure that you're realistic in terms of the price. If you have the privilege or the opportunity, even to wait until after the first of the year, I would do that.
Yeah, because you're opening yourself up to getting inspections, and not that necessarily there's anything wrong with the property, but once you have that in there, who knows? It opens up a lot of uncertainty for how the deal moves forward. So, okay, good stuff there.
All right,
ready to move on to celebrity real estate.
Yeah, here we go.
I sent it over to you. Take a look. First one. This one's kind of playing in a little bit with Halloween, with it being yesterday. A little spooky. Stranger Things. Did you watch the show on Netflix?
I saw the first season.
Just only the first season?
Yeah.
Well, you did see the...
you just didn't even go there. You're like, I'm just going to keep talking.
Well, you did see the property we're going to talk about, and that is the house from Stranger Things has been turned into an Airbnb. How would you like to stay at the Stranger Things house? It does have the Christmas lights on the wall, by the way.
Oh my God. I mean, Stranger Things, when did that series start? Like 7 years ago?
Oh, it had to be, around that time.
7-8 years ago? Pre-COVID. I barely even remember. There it is. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
So an investment company bought the property for $400,000. They invested $500,000 in renovations on this place. And now they are Airbnb-ing it out. What's the return? What's the return on that investment? How long do you have to rent that thing out to get your money back?
I don't know. I stopped listening like a moment ago.
You're like boring show. Don't care. On to the next one.
Ouch. He's very mean to me today, Alex. He's being very...
I've got to get my punches in. You're going to be gone next week.
Oh, that's true. That's true. With your celebrity guest next week.
That's right. Ed Kelm.
Ed Kelm, our beloved COO.
Beloved COO, yes.
Oh my God, I love that guy. All right, let's go into the next one.
All right, this one I was surprised by. Rosie O'Donnell.
Wow, that is a glamorous photo of Rosie. She's looking...
This is why I was surprised. Rosie's not glamorous. Let's just call it for what it is. But the home is it's in Miami. It's
oh my God! Wow.
It's a $54 million property, 11,000 square feet. Includes 8 bedrooms in the main house. There's 2 guest houses and a boathouse.
Okay.
It's got a private dock, boat lift, large pool that's right by the water. I mean, the landscaping's meticulous. Just right in the water.
Other than the blue pleather Barco Lounger in the living room, this is a great house.
How about the is it a statue or a sculpture at the Target?
Oh my.
And Alex
God.
will be putting some photos again. If you're just listening to the podcast, another reason why you should watch the podcast on our YouTube channel.
This is a great house. I mean, this is a great house for a multitude of reasons. One, just the exterior of the house is really, really beautiful, especially lit at night. Two, it's got this really, really great ability to pull your boat up. And just and moor your boat. Yeah, it's really, really great. The views of what looks like downtown Miami, spectacular. The ceiling height, the staircase, that's
Rosie.
Really, and then Rosie, I mean, this is really just a wonderful property. And again, once again, the pool is fantastic. This is a great property. Congratulations to Rosie O'Donnell.
I was surprised.
I used to hang out with her brother, who was a state senator.
Really interesting.
I miss both he and his partner. Really, really great guys. But we stopped hanging out in New York in the way that we used to. But really, Danny O'Donnell was just awesome. Just really, really great. So anyway, yeah.
All right, last one. This is the tease. You guessed it. Elon Musk.
So come on. He actually broke open his wallet to spend a little bit of money to put a roof over the heads.
Yes, this is the same man that said he was not going to own property at one point a few years back. This is also the same man that was living in a trailer with Grimes. He has now purchased a $35 million 3-mansion compound in Austin where he wants to house his 11 children and their mothers. So the details on this one, 14,400 square feet for this villa. It's in an adjacent 6-bedroom home to create this compound where, again, he's hoping that everyone will come and live together like a weird reality TV show.
I mean, what is he? He's suddenly Mormon? I mean,
it's kind of what it seems like, doesn't it?
I'm sorry. If you're listening and not watching, you really do need to watch because you've got to see this photo of Grimes and one of their children. She looks like an extra from the cast of the film Dune. And she's not in costume. This is I'm going to the mall to go shopping, or stopping by Wegmans to pick up a dozen eggs.
It's a normal vibe.
Wow. I can only question and wonder how many of those 11 children are actually interested in living under the roof of this monster.
I did say he wants them to. I didn't say that.
Okay, well, there we go. I can't imagine that his transgender daughter, who he continually belittles day in and day. I'm just going to stop.
I knew I was going to open up a can of worms in this one.
It's just a can of worms, my friend. This guy is just...
I wanted to get you fired up before vacation.
Yeah. That bottle of tequila that I've been saving. I just knock back a few shots on my way to the office.
There you go.
Yeah. So thanks for making my day there.
Anytime. All right. So next week Mark's on vacation. Ed Kalmer, COO, will be filling in, and then after that we start our guest series.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to do that?
So Jim Yokel will be our first guest, and again that's going to be a really interesting conversation since he'll be coming right from the National Association of Realtors conference. So we'll get some intel on that.
Jim Yokel, for those who don't know, he's the local president of the Greater Rochester Association of Realtors. And then who else did we? We did get
Jay Teresi's coming on at some point. I saw that email come through. Always a good guest. This will be his 3rd or 4th time over the past few years.
That guy's just, it'll be interesting because
it's been a while.
He has less of a presence here in Rochester and more of a national presence. So I'm really interested to find out what it is he has to say about what's playing out nationally. Okay. He's a smart guy, an alum of my high school. So
there you go.
Yeah, as you know. Anyway.
All right. Well, that's all coming up. As always, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching. If you're watching the podcast on our YouTube channel, and if you're just listening, you should watch it too. Either way. Thanks so much. Talk to you next time.